To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de
Because
las
this here's
puertas.
a wild ride in the wilderness.
When invisibility trapped doors change.
So today on Miles from Main Street, we are talking the 50th. It's coming to an end today, and I'm really sad because Brian didn't even get to Disney World for the 50th.
No, I didn't. It just didn't work out in our plans, and I'm sad for that. But if you don't want me sad, then go out and share the show, and that'll make me happy. But I really wanted to get down there. I had made a point of saying I was going to be getting down there, but it didn't happen. It actually, part of that reason is because I got to go to Disneyland instead. And as you know, like having 3 kids, money's a little bit tighter. I'm not that childless millennial that Disney likes, Mikhailo. So we get a trip like once a year, twice a year. So, or not twice a year, every 2 years. So yeah, I didn't get down there. I did watch a lot on YouTube, but I think today we're going to be talking about you and what you enjoyed, right? And I'll try to chime in as we can.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you saw a lot of what was happening, and I think you bought some 50th merchandise, which is one of the things that I wanted to talk about. So, I mean, you missed out being at the parks, but I mean, I feel like I went enough for the both of us, so I can talk about
You
what I
did
did.
get there a lot.
Anyway, so just to talk about the 50th, basically this is the 50th anniversary of Disney World. Disney World was constructed in 1971, opened October 1st, 1971. So it's technically it's the 50th anniversary of Magic Kingdom, but it's kind of like the whole compound in general. There were 50th things all over all of the parks. So all of the parks were celebrating the 50th. There was 50th stuff kind of all over Disney World in general. So it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed a lot of the merch that they came out with. And they came out with a fun logo that they put actually on Cinderella's castle. So it'll be interesting to see what they put there, because I've been noticing on even the newest fireworks, I do quotations newest, that recently came out, they were incorporating that little 50th plaque that's on the castle. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they change that, even if they do take that 50th plaque down, which I think they probably will. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. So I kind of wanted to talk about some of my favorite things, and Brian can kind of chime in with some of the things he saw and some of the things he bought. But I think some of my favorite things were kind of how the way that they were celebrating. They had stuff up on the parks, kind of like decorations, and they just kind of like it really felt like a celebration everywhere in Disney World, instead of just kind of like just at the Magic Kingdom, or like just in one spot. So that was a lot of fun. They came out with new fireworks both at Epcot and Magic Kingdom. The fireworks at Epcot, oh my god, Harmonious, so cool. I'm actually kind of sad that they're getting rid of Harmonious because it's so cool.
I am too. I wanted to see those. I think the music that they did is terrific. I really hope the new show, whatever it ends up being, includes some of that music. I think that show was really good. And now that's only me coming from me with watching it on YouTube, but I thought it was well done. I think what the ultimate downfall for it is that it requires a certain vantage point to see. You can't watch it from anywhere around the lagoon. So that's unfortunate. hopefully they bring some of that music back in though, because like I said, it's really well done.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think so. People like to complain about stuff, especially kind of in the Disney world. But um, I feel like the biggest complaint about that, which I never really saw it as a complaint coming from a production standpoint, were the barges with kind of like the moving heads and the projectors and stuff like that, that they had out on the little lake there. People were complaining that it was like retracting from like the views that they were getting, which, like, I mean, sure, but at the same time, like the performance that they did at night was just so much better with all of that happening. And it really did kind of feel, because there were a couple times where I got to see like our vantage points weren't completely straight on. We The first time we watched it, actually our vantage point was actually kind of terrible, because we were in the American pavilion, and because people said like, oh, if you want a good vantage point, like you got to see it straight on. And I mean, that's either like at that front area, right in front of the lagoon, or in the back area, like right around the American pavilion. And we like had trees in our way and all this stuff, so the first time we saw it, our vantage point was very bad. But just even like having that and seeing everything that was happening was really cool. The second time we watched it, we waited for a while, kind of like in that front area. And there's tons of people that kind of like hang out there. But then the third time that we watched it was kind of, I believe it was over by International Gateway, and so it was like not straight on. We were yeah, we were like right on that bridge right over by International Gateway. Still looked awesome. Like so I feel like with those barges, like in all of those areas, it really kind of made it kind of like a 360 thing. So yeah, I never had an area where I was like, oh, I'm not really seeing anything very well. Like all of the spots that I saw it in, like I saw the whole show basically. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest beef people have with that fireworks show were the barges. I hear rumors that possibly they're taking the barges over to Animal Kingdom for something, which would be cool. Um, but yeah, I really hope that the new fireworks show that they come out with is going to kind of be like in the same vein of what that fireworks show had. It was just very cool. And the music, Kristen and I listen to that music all the time. At one point, it was like what was playing in my car. I would just like listen to all of the different songs like on repeat. So yeah. And then there was Enchantment, which also, when that first came out, had a little bit of negativity towards it. I think a little bit of that stemmed from how much people liked Happily Ever After. So I get it. And I too kind of felt a little negative about it, just because like you don't have that, like it just didn't feel like you had an emotional connection to it. However, after all of the trips I took during the 50th and everything that happened, I mean, I got engaged during the 50th. I definitely have an emotional connection to that fireworks show now. Um, and that's not to say that like the first time I watched it in person that I was kind of like, yeah. Like I definitely like I teared up. Like it's a good fireworks show. But I do think that they can utilize, I don't know, they can utilize songs a little better than they did in Enchantment. The one section that I will miss from Enchantment is the because I haven't seen anything like this yet from Happily Ever After. Is going to be the Frozen song, the Into the Unknown. That part in Enchantment was really cool. I really enjoyed that part. Everything else I could kind of take or leave. So
I find it interesting that we're getting Happily Ever After back, and it just sitting here listening to you, it kind of makes me wonder, because we're getting Epcot Forever over in Epcot in place of Harmonious. And it kind of makes me wonder, did they just decide, or were they caught off guard by all of this and they didn't have anything else ready? They're like, fine, we're just gonna give you happily ever after back then. um it's just kind of weird how it's working, but at the same time they are doing the projections differently. Like you said, I watched the new video that came out from the cast member preview that they did of Happily Ever After, and they are including the medallion on the castle in those projections. So there has been some thought that's gone into this. Um, but back to Enchantment, you know, we didn't really enjoy it that much when we were um watching it. I really wanted and expected to have um more nods to the rides and the attractions that have brought Disney World along. I mean, we're celebrating Disney World. Why do we have Night on Bald Mountain? Why not have Small World? Why not have Haunted Mansion, the themes? Like, that's what I was looking for, and we didn't get that. So, I know they threw that nod to Walt Disney in at the beginning at some point, but it was kind of too little, too late at that point. So, um, I'm not surprised that the fan base has pretty much said, "Don't let the door hit you on the way out." So, um, but I do like "We Are the Magic." I think that's a great song. I like that they pulled that into the cavalcade that they do during the day. Um, I think that cavalcade is a lot of fun. It gives people another chance to watch some sort of parade and celebrate the 50th. Um, so I think that they did get a good song.
Yeah, and I agree. And I feel exactly the same about the fact that they could have involved more Disney World things, like attraction audio. I feel like that was definitely kind of like a missed opportunity, and I get it. People coming to the parks. I mean, that would be catering to like you and I, like Disney World people. But people that are coming to the parks aren't looking for like Haunted Mansion music. They're looking for like Moana and like these like well-known IPs, and that's kind of the stuff that they put in there. So I get both sides.
Okay, but was Night on Bald Mountain supposed to be the nod to the
Exactly.
people? Like, I don't mind seeing that. I think that's a big piece of their history, and they included it in some of their shows in the past. But like, they could have done better. They could have,
Hmm.
instead of Night on Bald Mountain, how about a quick medley of some attraction audio?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. That was definitely the beef that I had with um Enchantment. But yeah, I mean, and I'm happy that Happily Ever After is back. But I do kind of wish, honestly, for me, I wish the guts of um Enchantment were the same, and then like the bookends were Happily Ever After. I feel like for me that would have been pretty cool, because I feel like they did a lot of really cool stuff, like in the guts of Enchantment. That was really cool. So, but we'll see. I mean, there is a possibility, like you said, Brian, that they were caught off guard. I would hope that that they weren't caught off guard with, oh, we need something different now, and then they were like,
Yeah.
yeah, Epcot Forever and Happily Ever After. So I mean, there's a possibility that in a year from now they have put together a new fireworks show that they're gonna debut, or um, I'm wondering if they're putting together. I mean, I guess the epicenter for Disney 100, I guess technically would be Disneyland, but everything I'm hearing is like they're doing a lot of Disney 100 stuff at Epcot, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a kind of a shift to Disney World now, and they're going to have a monthly theme,
Hmm.
is what I saw. I did not see what the themes are going to be, but part of what they're doing though is they're saying like the journey of water is going to be part of the edition or whatever for the 100th anniversary, um and there was something else opening. I can't remember what it was, but the new fireworks show. That's where I was going with this. The
Mhm.
fireworks show is going to be like this new thing for the 100th, and like a lot of that's going to culminate in the fall, but they're doing these monthly things until then. So they have said that this is going to be the base, at least for the East Coast celebration, is in Epcot. I hope they do some interesting stuff. I hope they do some decorations like they did at Disneyland and DCA. What they were doing there was really cool, and I enjoyed seeing the buntings and all that. Like, that's kind of what I'm looking for in a celebration. And I think because of what it's going to take to undo the castle and then maybe have to do it up again, that's maybe why they're doing it in Epcot. They might be able to just get more decorations up quickly over there than they would over in the kingdom. But yeah, we're getting the new fireworks show in the fall, and they're saying, like, that's going to be part of the 100th. I hope they hit a home run with this one, because everyone's going to be looking at it and wondering what it is. And the little bit of art that they showed for it, at least we know it's going to be all encompassing of the lagoon. So that's a step in the right direction right there. And as we talked about, I hope the music is somewhat with the enchantment music. So we'll get the Dreamer statue as well, and I think it'll be fun to see what they're doing. I will be there after all of that's done. So I'm just happy that I got to enjoy it at Disneyland, and we'll see what 2024 brings for that. But let's get more into the 50th. You were wanting to talk about the 50th, so
Yeah, and so another thing that I really enjoyed, and again, this was kind of like a Disney World wide type thing. So they had 50th stuff in a lot of the hotels as well, which is really cool. And one of the things that I really enjoyed was the fact that um, all of the hotels had a very distinct smell in the lobby area. And I found out later that this was provided by Sensi, and they made a special iridescent smell for all of the hotel lobbies. Um, so I thought that was really cool. And it turns out that you could buy the wax melts of how the lobbies smelled. Um, I actually have mine going on today so that my house smells like a Disney hotel. And with Sensi, you can actually do subscriptions. And so now we are going to be getting that 50th hotel scent for like as long as we have the subscription. So I think that's really cool. But that was it's like those little things that Disney does. I've been a big nerd about um Disney hotel smells in general, because it makes a lot of sense. Each hotel kind of has its own smell, and I feel like this iridescent smell, from everything I've heard, matches kind of like the Grand Floridian smell. Um, but it's cool that they all kind of had their own 50th smell in those lobbies. So now whenever I turn it on, um, I mean, you could definitely smell it in the All Stars. Even the All Stars were getting this when we were there, but it really kind of brings me back to Port Orleans when we were staying there, in those lobbies. For some reason, too, it really makes me think of French Quarter, because I think for some reason we walked around that lobby more than we walked around the other one, Riverside, just because we like that resort a lot, and we were staying at Riverside, but we still walked around the French Quarter. So that's what it really makes me think of.
yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been able to check out that scent. I'll have to come over to your house one of these times and smell it.
It's
Smell
a
your house.
it's just a nice scent, and it really kind of brings you back to being in Disney World and being at these hotels. Anyways, let's get to the thing that I really wanted to talk about, which is merchandise. I feel like the Disney 50th merchandise was done very well. And I feel like there was a lot of it, more than I'm seeing for the 100th, which is interesting because I was pretty sure that like Disney seeing these merchandise sales for the 50th, they were going to say, oh, anytime we have some sort of celebration, we're going to pair it with merchandise since this did so well. So it's interesting to see that like there isn't the constant stream of merchandise happening kind of during the 100th that was happening during the 50th. But I feel like so with this Disney 50th merchandise, they had pretty much everything. Shirts, hats, mugs, like all of the Disney things that you can think of, they were slapping the 50th logo on. And I was pretty happy about that because I enjoyed the color scheme and the logo that they had going on. And so it was pretty easy for me to kind of say, "Oh, this looks cool. I'm going to buy this."
Remind me if they did they do 2 lines or 3 lines? Because I know they did like this finale line just a couple, like, was it 2 months ago even? Like it might not even have been that long ago.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it was 3. There was one that came out in the beginning that like everyone snatched up.
Right.
And there's stuff that they released at the beginning of the 50th that I haven't seen at all since. Which is sad because a lot of that stuff was really cool. And then they had one kind of in the middle where like they announced new merchandise and new spirit jerseys and stuff. And then one kind of like right here at the end. That was kind of like the last like, oh, here's the last of all the 50th merchandise. So
And you bring this up with Disney 100, so they released the 100th stuff right before the kickoff at Disneyland, and we were able to see a lot of that. And I'm expecting in the next month or two we're going to get another drop of stuff, because they had kind of shown some things and said this was only the beginning, right?
yeah.
So I think we'll get more. The other thing though is, I don't know if you saw this week, they're discounting a lot of the finale merchandise.
Yes, I'm aware, and I tell Kristen all the time, if we were in Disney and if we lived in Disney and we saw this, we'd be able to just like get up and go, because like 100%, if we saw that 50th merchandise was on super discount, we would be getting our butts over to the world of Disney and into the parks and trying to buy this stuff. But yeah, I am completely aware of that.
So it might affect some of the decisions that they make here going forward with merchandise. But the other piece I was going to mention that I thought was kind of neat was that they seem to pair like a legacy or a retro design as well with some of the stuff. So like the Disney 100, like they had the platinum and all that purple and whatever that they put out, but they also came out with this studios design as well in the Eras collection, right? So now we've got, every month they're coming out with a decades collection, and I think all of that is going to be part of the 100th. Now with the 50th, I really enjoyed that initial set that they put out. I am totally blanking on the ears that we picked up, but we got something from the 50th. I know that, so I know we have that, but we did pick up a couple of things for the 50th. I went and grabbed that blue hat with make the partner statue on the front for the 50th. So I really like that hat. So I was trying to celebrate even though I couldn't get there.
Yeah, and I have to say Brian and I, we like hats. Brian is wearing a hat right now. But the last thing that I bought that was technically 50th, because I'm sure we're gonna buy more as soon as a lot of this stuff gets discounted, hopefully on Shop Disney.
Right.
Or when we go back and we see 50th stuff still hanging around, possibly in the character warehouse, because I think that's a must now every time we go to Disney World to go check out the character warehouse. But the last 50th thing I actually bought was my Vans hat, and I think you were with me, Brian, in Disneyland when I bought that. And it was interesting that it's funny. I didn't even really know that was a 50th, um, that was 50th themed, but it was supposed to look retro, which I really like, and it had Disney World, like right on the front. But that was cool, and that's technically another one of those like retro looking type items that I thought was really cool. Um, but yeah, that was the last piece of merchandise that I've bought so far for the 50th, but I'm sure there will be more. But um, the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about with merchandise, and this is just kind of like an overall type thing, is the fact that so when this first drop of Disney 50th merch came, Kristen really, really liked the iridescent ears. She really liked the way that they looked, and she was really excited about getting a pair. Um, so we went. Probably I want to say this was a couple months into the 50th celebration. Kristen and I went on a trip, and we had things that we had seen either on Shop Disney or on YouTube videos that we wanted to pick out while we were there. We had a really hard time finding a lot of this merchandise. Pretty much everywhere we went, Kristen or I were asking if they had iridescent ears, and they were just sold out everywhere. Um, and then we went home. I think it was around Kristen's birthday, and I went online and found a pair of iridescent ears on like eBay or something. And I bought them for her. And then when I was on that site, I saw that this seller had sold those pair of ears 90 times already, which means
Yeah.
that they had 90 pairs of iridescent ears that they were selling on eBay. And it's like, I get if you're going to go buy like a couple pairs of iridescent ears or like a couple Figment popcorn buckets and sell them online, like that's going to happen. But the fact that it said that she had sold that item 90 times, I was like, that is just insane. Like we that 100%. I feel like if those 90 pairs of iridescent ears, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but if those 90 pairs of ears were still in circulation, possibly they would have been around for our trip, because everybody was like, oh, like we stopped seeing them about a week ago. So it's like we had like just missed that like first big drop. But it's just, it kind of makes me sad because and now it's gotten to the point where Kristen and I just understand, like, if you like it, buy it. Like, even if you see it in the park and you're like, I think I kind of like this, like I want to buy it. There have been several times where we've said like, okay, like we're gonna come back for it. Um, we'll get it like at the end of our trip, and we come back and it's gone. So it's gotten to the point now where we've just kind of been like, if you like it, buy it. Um, and but yeah, it stuff like that just makes it more difficult to, I mean, find stuff in the park. And part of our shop, like part of our Disney experience is the shopping. Like we put a lot onto our experience while shopping for Disney merchandise in the parks. So had we been able to find those ears in the park, it would have meant a lot more to us than just paying for it online and having it get shipped to us. Kristen still loves those ears, and I think those are the ears that she's worn the most. But still, like it would, finding these products in the parks means so much more than like just buying them on eBay. So it's kind of like, the way I put it was like, these people are kind of robbing those experiences from us for like trying to like buy this or sell this stuff on eBay. I would much rather buy them in the parks and have that experience than, and I get it. It's like, if for somebody like you, Brian, if you can't be there in the park, then I mean, if you can find it on eBay, that's great. but still, like, I would much rather have that experience in the park finding it than having to scour eBay for it.
Right. And so what, like, I talked about the blue hat, and I'm wearing a hat right now, but the hat I'm wearing right now is Steamboat Willie. I picked this out 5-6 years ago when I was at Disney World. It fell off my head when I was riding Splash Mountain, and they recovered it and sent it to me. So it's got Splash Mountain water in it, right? Like, so there's a story for all of that.
Mhm.
And then you take my hat that I got at Disneyland. This, I went a step further and had it personalized with, it says MFMS for Miles from Main Street, first visit 2023. And I took that a step further to do that, and I really like that hat. So now what I'm finding is that I'm not wearing that Disney World hat, although I will here and there. I'm wearing this one still, and I'm wearing the the Disneyland one, and I've got a Rise of the Resistance hat that I throw on every once in a while too. So, it's like it's a rotation, but I'm not going to that one that I just happened to buy off the uh Shop Disney site. I don't know. Like you said, it's more, I don't know, more better.
More better.
It's more better. It's more enjoyable to have it when you've bought it there and you have picked it out yourself. So,
Yeah,
and
I totally agree. And that's just kind of my rant about that. I know that there's no real good way of stopping a lot of this stuff, but I don't know. I'd much rather buy the stuff from Disney than from some reseller.
yeah, and as far as that resale, like, Disney's doing what they can. They limit it to 2 per person now. Um, it's not stopping anybody. It's just they're just going and buying it more times, right? Like, whatever. What they need to do is, these annual pass holders, well, they're not using their annual pass on them either, because when they use their discount and it gets logged and they're seeing it done 90 times, then they're going to get flagged.
Mhm.
So it's hard for them to be able to do that. They have a whole bunch of people come shopping for them, and then Disney can't track it when they do it that way.
Mhm.
The other thing is that there's not a whole lot of incentive there for Disney to stop them,
Exactly.
because the merchandise is getting sold regardless. So, but yeah, it would be nice if people were to slow down on it and stop making a business out of it. But um, it is what it is at this point. And like you said, if you see it, grab it, because we had that problem in Disneyland. Tammy wanted a certain Spirit jersey, but we passed it up when the first time we saw it and never saw it again.
Mhm.
So,
And one thing that I'm seeing now more, and it's funny, Brian, I don't think I've told you about this experience, but I like to watch live streams of Disney, and I was watching this one from, and most of the time I'll just type in like Disney World live, and whoever is live in the parks, I'll just start watching. So it could be like somebody I've never watched before that is live in the parks. But I was watching this one live video of people I've never really seen before. And it was interesting because they were in line for Pirates of the Caribbean. And I sometimes I do enjoy those like just standing in line streams for a little bit, because I mean, other than people just being like, "Hey, it's Kristen from Montana. Hi, Kristen. Hey, it's Jeff from Philadelphia." Like, they'll do that sometimes, and that's kind of annoying. But it's fun to just kind of like sit there and like talk to everybody in the chat and have the live streamer kind of like commenting on what's happening in the chat. So that's fun. So I watched them in line for Pirates of the Caribbean, get onto Pirates of the Caribbean, streamed Pirates of the Caribbean, got off, and as soon as they got off, they went into um the merchandise area, the shop, and just started looking at stuff. And all of a sudden she was like, "Yeah, Greg, do you want this in a large or medium?" And like Cindy's asking for these trinkets over here. Let me go look at these. And all of a sudden I was like, are these people buying merchandise from this
Yep.
person just live? And they were.
Yep.
And and they were, I think they called them a concierge service, but it's basically just a personal shopper.
Right.
Um and it was interesting because it was as if you were there shopping. Like you could message them, and I think the way it works is you have to go in and pay, and then they get a notification that like they want this, they paid this much, and then they go grab it for you on the stream, which is cool. Um, but yeah, I thought that was interesting, and that, I mean, they only bought like a couple shirts, some other toys and stuff like that. And so it's not like they were going through and just like grabbing every single shirt in one way and every single shirt in another way. Um it like the personal shopper seems like it's a better way of like toning down that stuff, where like they're not buying large quantities of things and all of a sudden everything's gone. So I found that interesting when I kind of stumbled upon what was happening in that stream, because I was so confused. I was like, are these people just casually asking her to buy? And then all of a sudden I was like, are they just friends? And they're like, oh yeah, like I'll get you this while I'm here. And then they explained what they were, a concierge service. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and I've used a personal shopper before. I really like that I can do that with certain things. It's only certain things though. I don't just like jump on and be like, "Hey, get me this, get me that, give me this." It's like
Mm-hmm.
I need a gift for this person and they really want this, so they'll go use a personal shopper. Um, or it's my wife really wants something that I don't think we're going to be able to get a hold of, so
Mm-hmm.
I'll use the personal shopper. It is more expensive. You're paying a fee for them to be out there doing it for you, and you're paying shipping, but every once in a while it's nice to have. Hopefully that's not hurting things, but
Mm-hmm.
you know um but final thoughts on the 50th. It was long.
18 months, which
18
I'm
months.
surprised, and I'm kind of sad. I told Brian this today. I was kind of sad that like Brian wasn't able to get out there during the 50th, because we had a lot of fun for the 50th anniversary.
Right. So for 18 months it went on. I'll miss seeing some of the stuff. I know, come tomorrow, I'm sure that cavalcade won't be going by. Hopefully they'll have the Mickey and Friends one again or something, but they said they're going to keep these cavalcades around, and I haven't seen them
Mm.
as much. So hopefully they keep them going though. I like that they're still doing them in Animal Kingdom. Um, it was dampened a little bit by the whole COVID thing, the celebration, but
Mm-hmm.
I think they did pretty good. I think they could have done more the actual day of, but again, COVID was playing with us, and it's hard to know where that balance is. Um, so I'll miss it. Probably not as much as you, since I didn't get there though.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Kind of like the whole color scheme, everything that was going on, all of the new things. It was a lot of fun, and it was great to be able to get out there 3 times to enjoy that. So yeah, we were pretty happy with it, and excited to kind of see like what Disney is going to do next, because I wouldn't think that they're just going to go back to like, oh, typical Disney. Like I feel like there's probably something else happening that they're going to be celebrating or something like that. So excited to
Well,
see what happens there.
I mean, we already talked about it. It's going into the 100th, so
Oh yeah, yeah, of
we'll
course.
see that happens. But yeah, 2024 it'll be interesting to see where they go.
Hmm.
It'd be kind of nice to see the parks take a break for a minute and just be parks for a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of why, and we'll talk about it later probably, but that's why Kristen and I kind of want to do a trip this summer, possibly, to just go and hang out in the parks just as like what they are right now. So
Yeah, right. Um, so let us know your memories. What did you guys like about the celebration? Come on out to Instagram or Facebook group. The links are in the show notes, and let us know what you thought.
Yeah, but like we always say, some live close.
but others don't.
So let's talk about it. We'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.